Well, I'm Lenny Chisholm, and I'm joined by Cliff Eberhardt. And we're glad to have you. I know you're in town to do a little playing this weekend.
I am playing at the Landmark Center tonight.
Great, great. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about was your history with KFAI and public radio.
Well, public radio. If it wasn't, I was just saying in jest, but it's true that if it wasn't for public radio, I wouldn't have a career, because all over the country there's public radio stations that interview acoustic musicians that are traveling around, and it gets the word out to people so they can come to the concerts. And then, in turn, I do a lot of benefit shows for different stations around the country.
Oh, okay.
So they can keep open, because we could lose this stuff if we're not careful. Radio. Well, there's a lot of public radio that's going more mainstream and doesn't have shows that are this diverse, that like you have on this station, that will just play pretty much mainstream pop artists now, instead of music that is not known widely.
And so when you broke in, I presume that was like last week. You're
80 years ago.
Young fella, you were able to walk into the public radio stations and say, I want to take a little time and play a little music.
Well, luckily I didn't just walk in, but it was arranged by my record company and stuff. But back then there were hundreds of stations that would interview you. So every city I played in, there was a station that I could interview on. It's not that way anymore. No, there's so few that do this anymore. That's what's so great about this station. There's very few stations nationwide that do live interviews anymore.
Wow.
I mean, there were hundreds, and now there's probably 50.
It's dropped off that much?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So as you know, we're all volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
me too, basically.
we believe that, in that mantra for first of all. What do you think volunteers can do to help enhance this image of trying to keep public radio going? I mean, what are some of the things you would suggest that we do?
Well, I think that the community needs to really become involved in everything, not only public radio, but I think community is what's being left out of our sociology right now. And that it would be great if you got more people to just, whether they can give money or time to do stuff for this radio station and to do stuff for this community. And I think public radio is a great glue to the people that do participate to bring that community back.
Yeah.
This is the last place where it's actually creative radio. The last bastion of creativity and on-the-fly art that you can get over the airways. And if we lose this, what do we have? I think you did a great job. I mean, there's nothing I thought Johnny D did a great job of interviewing me, and every time I've been here, I can't think of anything that I could add that would make it better. Maybe you could ask the public, your listeners, what they want to hear, what kind of interviews they want. But you're doing a good job, so I can't see changing anything.
So our outreach is making your career blossom, it sounds like.
Well, it's I wouldn't call it blossom, but it's at a steady flow.
Oh, well, that's it.
Because without public radio, people don't hear. I'm on actually a label that's here in St. Paul,
really?
Red House Records.
Okay.
And without public radio, Red House Records would not be played by any other station, because they don't play anything but major labels anymore. It's all about the money. And so, volunteer is not, it's an oxymoron. I heard paid volunteer, which you're not. And without people volunteering and without this radio station, you would only hear what the corporations want you to hear.
Wow.
That's all you'd hear.
So when you're thinking of, like, when we do the pledge drive, we ask people, what are some of the things that you would say to someone who was considering making a pledge to a public radio station? And what are some of the values you think they could receive?
Well, exactly what I've been saying, that there's just nothing. This is art on the fly all the time. The DJs choose who they want to play, who they want to interview. They have different people on. You just said a rap artist was on here, and then you have me doing my acoustic thing. Without that, well, for one, I personally would never turn on the radio if it wasn't for public radio. I don't listen to anything else but public radio. And I think that the community should be won over to it. I think they're scared that it's a certain political thing, and it's really not. It's apolitical. It's about sharing the good things about the community and the good things about art that people don't hear on a daily basis, because they're not privy to it, because regular radio, they're told what to play.
Tell us one of the experiences that you've had that you think people would probably say, only at public radio can I have that kind of experience.
Well, I've walked in. I remember when I first started doing this. I was in New York, and I walked in, and Richie Havens, Dave Van Ronk, Odetta, and Peter Palomero were all in the same room being interviewed. And they brought me in, and I was like, I never thought that A, I'd meet any of them, and B, we ended up all working together and doing lots of public radio shows together. And it's stuff like that you just don't find happening on regular radio, you know, where you get to hear these legends interviewed, and you get to hear new music that's interesting, or hopefully interesting, that maybe makes you want to get off your Barco Lounger and go see that musician play, or go hear that rap artist sing, you know, or go to an event that they're talking about on public radio. It's a vital means of communication for the community, and without it, we'd be lost.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time while you're in town, and we hope people get out and get a chance to hear you tonight, because it sounds like this is going to be an exciting show.
It'll be great. You know, I do this. I'm blessed to do this every week of my life, and so I've got it down pretty good by this point.
Once again, I'm Lenny Chisholm, and I've been joined by Cliff Eberhardt, and we're really appreciative of him taking his time to have a conversation with us about public radio.
And you're pretty nice. I mean, this is what public radio is about.
Thank you.
All right, man.